Good evening, and welcome to All Ports Gaming SuperCars NZ. This is the round 2 of SuperCars NZ's V8 series tonight with our Div 2 races. This is Doug, joined up in the broadcasting lounge with the one and only Shane White. How are we going there, Shane?
Yeah, good thanks, Doug. Excited to be here at a classic Spanish circuit, famous for MotoGP, but tonight we're putting some V8 supercars around it. So, nice little 4.37 kilometre circuit, 15 turns, and we're going to see how these guys go on what proved a very challenging circuit when we came here in the GT3s last season, and these cars, of course, notoriously harder to drive.
Yeah, it was very challenging track for the GT3s. No doubt, there was um, named so affectionately in there was a Scott's corner, which then turned into Doug's corner, and some people forget that it was actually Scott's corner to begin with. But the Scott in reference that managed to lose the rear end of his car the first time round is doing a mighty fine job tonight in this championship here, because as I go to this, he's sitting there at the top of the qualifying table. I'd lie. He
Oh,
just pipped at the post by one Jared Ecclestone. So we'll see if Scott might jump back out there quickly if he hasn't completed all of his laps. I'm not too sure whether they were lap limited or whether they're just time limited.
looks like they are limited to 10 laps as Trent Bennett just goes to the top
Whoa!
on a 44.4.
There we go.
Looking at the laps completed, it looks like nobody at that 10 lap marker. Jared and Scott. Jared's about to complete his 8th lap by the look of it. Scott just starting his 8th lap, so
Well, there you go.
couple of laps left for those guys. With just under 3 minutes left on the clock, I think the time will run out before the laps do, so I think they'll be
I
alright
do.
on that.
Yeah. So anyway, quickly, as we shoot back to have a look at this mighty fine track that has all the corners, as you can see from that, give us a quick rundown of the track there, Shane, and some of the challenges that the guys are expected to come across tonight.
Yes, it's a very undulating circuit, lots of elevation change around the track. Really big challenge is going to be the turn 11 to 14 sequence. So that's at the top of that little sticky out bit to the left. You can see the nice little chicane in there. So very tight little chicane where they'll need to
Yep.
get the car slowed down. And then trying to modulate the throttle on the way out while also trying to make turns 13 and 14 after that chicane, the two right-handers there. That's going to be extremely tricky. And trying to remember from the GT3 race, I believe basically all of the first sector is quite tricky with spotting your apex and getting the car on the right line with the elevation change as you go through those corners. So that'll be a real big challenge for the guys to deal with tonight.
Yeah, not too sure how much is left of this lap here, but this is just over the back of Scott McKenzie's Commodore here. And he's just come across the start-finish line there, so we'll see quickly what the view of the track looks like and some of these undulations that you were speaking of before, and just how tricky it is to line up a lot of these apexes.
Yeah, so this corner here is quite tricky. Turn 4, long left-hander, and the exit curve is blind until you get around there. This is another long right-hander here at turn 5. Long sweeping corner, and again you can see he's run it out wide there. You're trying to spot the point where you want to land the car on the exit, where you can't really see that exit until you're absolutely committed to the corner, and you need to be getting back on the throttle again before you can see that exit. Slow little hairpin there at turn 6, dry sack,
And
as the qualifying
that's
session
it.
comes
It's
to an end.
just run over the 15-minute time limit there, so we don't get to see the rest of that lap. But thank you very much for telling us all about your turn 6 there, mate.
Yeah,
go. Yeah, so 2 races tonight, totaling a combined kilometrage of 150. So we introduced tonight with, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 14 laps and then a 20 lapper?
That's correct, yeah. Two races, 14 laps first up and 20 laps for the second one. So all in
Okay.
all, making up the SDI 150 here at Jerez.
Yeah, thank you very much to SDI, Steve Darren and Jerez for your race week sponsorship. One of the guys who's been with us right from the very get-go. Awesome stuff.
And they're lining up on the grid. Quinn Wilson managed to take the pole in the interim Trent Bennett. Jared Eccleston slotting in third, Luke Bradley fourth, and Scott McKenzie fifth.
Yep, and just waiting on Carl Nedler to arrive there on track in P6. Hasn't joined us yet.
So I believe Quinn Wilson was a late entry tonight as well. Normally runs in the GT3s. Asked if he could join the Div 2 race for the V8s tonight, have a go, and well, maybe he might need to be put up into Div 1 if he races again, because he's put it on pole, but we'll see how he goes in the race. Of course, qualifying's only part of it.
That's a
Didn't quite see what his qualifying lap was. Actually, it was a 44.2 versus a 44.4 for Trent Bennett, so a couple of tenths quicker, so not a huge amount in it. So hopefully we'll still see a fairly competitive race now.
yeah. Certainly looking forward to seeing it, and keep an eye on car number 5, the guy sitting there in third spot. He's hoping to be able to get through this first lap cleanly, as Quinn Wilson doesn't get a very good jump.
Jared got an absolute flyer. He's already on the tail of Trent Bennett, and it was one of the misfit cars. I think Scott McKenzie getting very out of shape in the braking zone, coming together with what looked like a Jack Daniels car there. I'm not quite sure who that was.
Yep, I'll be able to bring that up in a minute, but I believe it was Luke Bradley in the Jack Daniels entry. So what that's done is it's allowed Trent Bennett and Jared Eccleston just to stretch a wee bit away from the field. Quinn Wilson now settling into a bit more of a rhythm, and he's already getting put on contract with some big move here by Carl Nedler, as he's made a sweep around the outside of him.
Yes, the Quinn Wilson, as I mentioned, normally running the GT3s, obviously used to a rolling start in that category, and maybe not quite enough practice with getting these beasts away from a standing start, and was a little bit slow away, and that momentum has just put him on the back foot on this first lap as well. He's dropped to 4th place now. Ross Watson there in 9th.
Yeah, we had a big shout out for the Team Misfits tonight, so I'll do my best to try and get the rounds done on keeping an eye on those guys, as one of them here, Trent Bennett in car 69, which is a familiar number for you there, Shane.
Yeah, so we've had a bit of competition over that number in the GT3 series. I think I've got it on this season in the GT3s. He's managed to keep it for the V8s because I don't run in the V8 series. Obviously, I'm up here with you, talking to you, Doug.
Yep. I think you probably do a better job being up here with me as much as what I do up here as well. So we've just got some data just flashed up now. Scott McKenzie, Daniel Johnson both crashing out. So we'll just jump and quickly have a look at that before we go back and have a look at the race start.
Scott McKenzie with that big damage already from the start. Oh, yeah, so damage to the front end already, I would say, just costing him. And I've just seen a Passion Sim racing car in the wall. I'm not quite sure who that was.
And Daniel Johnson just coming together with our Raceweek sponsor, Steve Darren there. Just a bit of a late lock on the brakes and just a glide into the door. Steve not able to hold it, but getting out of everyone else's way. Let's have a look and see what's happening here. Trent Bennett pushing on from Jared Eccleston there. Nearly a second and a half ahead of Jared there. That's a shocking camera view, that one.
Just showing some trees for you there, Doug.
Yeah, there you go, Craig, if you're watching. Oh, you like the trees?
So Jared
Calvendra
running a
there.
Chaz Mostert livery there with the Super Cheap Auto colours from a few years back.
Yep, it was a good looking livery as well. And I did promise a certain individual tonight that I wouldn't badmouth the Mustang too much, and that's this gentleman here, AJR. I think I'd correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure the words I used was I won't badmouth his car. So that's a cool looking Mustang, but I'd much prefer to see that livery on a Commodore.
As would I. Then again, if we're talking about Super Chief Auto liveries on a Commodore, well, we might as well just go back to Greg Murphy 05, right?
Yep, exactly. Great one. So, what else have we got happening up and down the field? Derek Lovegrove on attack from Wayne Van Billion has just gone charging past him there. So, Derek in the middle of a VSK sandwich as he's got Leith Swinney sitting in behind him. And Leith's upgraded his profile picture tonight for something that I think him and Sean were up to last weekend.
Yes, I'm not sure if that's Leith or Sean, but I think whichever one it's not is just out of frame there, probably.
Yeah. Someone's on the end of the chain. Rightio, let's see if we can find out what happened at the race start there. So I've got data on Luke Bradley going off track. I believe he was the Jack Daniels car. Let's have a look at that. Oh, so he was the innocent bystander there. So actually it was a Boost Mobile car with Scott McKenzie. Car number 11.
Oh, yeah, might have been a little bit of netcode there, I think.
Quinn
Looked
Wilson.
like,
Yeah.
looked like before the cars were actually touching on screen, there was a bit of movement as though they'd taken a hit, and that just unsettled them right in the braking zone enough to unfortunately send them flying across the track and, yeah, taking out some collateral damage there as well.
Yeah. Cheers, Mr. Pickering at home. You just said the race audio was a little bit quiet, so I've just adjusted that a wee bit. So just give us a thumbs up or a all good now if that's improved it. Obviously, we don't want to be trying to compete too much with the race noise, but we do like to hear that the people at home are happy listening to the sweet sounds of these V8s as they go around track. Wayne doing a good drive tonight, up 3 spots currently into P5. A few guys down towards the back of the pack have already taken their pit stops. It'll be one Grant Bristow there, along with Mike Limbrick. Daniel Johnson, he was caught up in some early drama there as well. And Marty Mitchell.
Yeah, so not necessarily a bad strategy call to get out of that traffic early. Of course, 14-lap race and a fairly lengthy track here at 1:44 a lap. You will wear through the tyres over a longer stint in that, so you don't want to get in too early and force yourself to have a bit too much to do on those tyres to the end of the race. But if you can get out of traffic, get some clear air, you can gain some track position when everybody else comes in for their stops, as long as you're confident you can manage those tyres to the end of the race.
So, looking ahead off the back of Leith Swinney's car here, he keeps closing in on the back of Derek to within sort of very close margins, and then all of a sudden he seems to drop back off again. So I don't know if, just looks like Derek made a wee bit of a late break there.
Yeah, a little bit wide there for Derek. So
Leith,
carrying a little bit too much pace into the corner. Leith looking for an opportunity to get past. Was able to close up, but not quite get into the gap that presented itself there.
Leith is a bit of a master of conserving tyres as well, so I know he'll be trying to get as much as he can out of the car before he's due to come in for his pit stop. I'd say with the way he's battling with Derek at the moment, he might as well come in now and see if he can get an overcut and play the long game.
Yeah, we're only a couple of laps away from that halfway mark, so not a bad idea if he can't find a way past on track.
There we go.
Looks
So
like Derek's just gone for the pit lane himself.
Cool, so that'll change up Leith's mentality now. He'll be wanting to go for the hard charge and see if he can gain some extra time without having a car blocking his view on the apex ahead of him.
And a few cars diving for pit lane now as well. You can see it is a tricky pit entrance, and
Yep.
just as I talk about that, that's Brendan Brownie going wide onto the grass on pit entrance, unable to get that car pulled up in time. He may cop an unsafe pit entrance there as well. I'm not exactly sure where iRacing deems you to be outside of that pit entrance and cutting across. That may count as... Yeah, so a late commitment there and just getting the rears locked on the way around. You can see a lot of the guys are getting it slowed down significantly before they even move off the racetrack. Where Brendan made that call very late and just wasn't able to get it stopped there, and parking it at a significant angle there as well, make the pit crew's job a little bit harder.
Was, but didn't look like he was penalised all there, so managed to get away neatly. I'd say his entry into pit lane was okay, probably a bit abrupt. He may not have seen exactly where it was during some of his practice laps, but yeah, just going off deep into the grass under brakes and just losing the rear end around a wee bit. So lucky that he didn't carry on sliding backwards on the grass and then rejoin back onto the track at the apex.
Yeah, that's right. That would have been a very sticky situation to emerge right onto the racing line there while guys are trying to get around the corner.
So,
Steve Darren runs wide.
Steve's been battling a wee bit tonight. I've been keeping an eye on him a wee bit during practice and qualifying. He can do some good laps, and then all of a sudden the things just start to unfold a wee bit. So Steve may be looking at coming in shortly as well. I'm surprised that he didn't just come in then. And behind him, Derek Lovegrove has already pitted. So Steve sitting there, currently P13, at the bottom end of the cars still left to pit. Here's a name that we hadn't seen too much last season, but we happily welcome him back and say it again, Pricey. Well done, mate. You're doing a great job so far, up 5 spots into P8. And he's got just behind him new entrant for the season, Luke Bradley, and the Jack Daniels Mustang there.
So I've been keeping an eye on the battle for the lead here, and Trent Bennett had been keeping Jared at arm's length, but Jared's just found some pace in the last few laps and has managed to close that gap right up, putting a lot of pressure on. We've just gone over, or just approaching the halfway mark in the race, so it could be at that spot now where I was about to say Jared will probably do whatever Trent doesn't do, and Trent comes for the pits, Jared stays out, so now Jared will be looking to put some good laps down, probably try and extend by another 2 or 3 laps, and then have fresher tyres to attack Trent with later in the race.
There you go. Awesome stuff. Yeah, very good strategy from Jerez as well, and it looked like he was commanding quite a good charge onto the back of Trent as well. So Trent probably doing the right thing, clearing his ear and head by coming in and grabbing that fresh tyre and getting that stop out of the way. And then now he's just got to get into that zone and think of getting out there, doing a nice, consistent, clean first out lap on those fresh tyres, and then really trying to hammer those last few laps that he's got for him.
Yeah, I do wonder if maybe Jared could have got in a lap or two earlier to try and trigger the undercut there, but he obviously had done well to hold on to his tyre life there, and clearly had a bit of pace over Trent towards the end of the stint there, and probably had only just started to get into that zone where he was really getting held up. So that lap, I would say, if Trent had stayed out, Jared would have come in, but we saw Trent come in, so Jared stayed out, got that fresh air, and we'll see how it pans out once Jerez takes his stop.
Yep, no, very fair, very fair. Chris Zuppich, another new one for SuperCars NZ this season. Had a bit of technical dramas with some of his rig components for the first race. I think his pedals disconnected or something along those lines. So Chris, if you're listening, feel free to head over to allports.nz, have a look at some of their Sparko gaming product, mate. Put in SCNZ at the checkout and get a whopping 15% off at the checkout.
That's right, and Jared is in the pits now, so only going one lap further. I probably would have gone at least another lap after that. But we'll see how it pans out. Maybe he feels like having the tyres up to temperature, that might give him the pace to jump ahead of Trent Bennett.
Trent's fallen down the order. Something's happened.
Has he had an issue?
Something's happened
on the
to Trent.
Oh, Jared's stationary. Quinn Wilson's jumped him. And Wayne Van Biljong.
Oh, Jared's been caught with a penalty. He's down on the ground and everyone else around him has gone. So Carl Nedler taking over the lead lap now. And just, what are we looking? So Carl, taking over current P1, but yet to stop. So Quinn Wilson is now our effective race leader, and sitting just behind him a few seconds back is Derek Lovegrove, with Wayne Van Biljong chasing him down in what would be effectively third spot. While those two are having some racing, I'm going to have a look and see if I can find some data on Trent. It looks like he's been through the pits twice. That's not right, is it?
On my timer screen is only showing one pit stop.
And I've got no other data to say that he crashed or anything.
Very strange.
Okay, so Mark Price passed Trent Bennett for P5, Luke Bradley for P6. I'll have a quick squiz at this and see what this might bring up. I think this might be just when he was sitting in the pit lane.
Well, Carl Nedler's just taken his stop and emerged in the lead.
And Carl doing a very nice time, consistent with the rest. 10-second pit stop time there, so...
Yeah.
He sits currently 8 seconds ahead of Quinn Wilson in second. So Trent Bennett looks like another one that was cursed with a 40-second hold. I didn't realise, but I should have looked at it. Sat in the pit lane for 51 seconds. Leith Swinney also copping a 50-second pit stop. And Scott McKenzie, the worst one of them yet, a minute 24. Simon Willis had a 50-second, and Jared had a 49.7. So, yeah, a few of those guys getting pinged on just not being able to get back onto getting the speed arrested before coming into the pits. So Scott Pickering there at home has confirmed for us that the race audio is now looking good, and then has followed up with another one for Stonesy. If I bring him up quickly, If I can find him. Jared, where is he? There. He's pulled out.
Oh, he's disconnected, yeah.
So Stonesy, no, Monica is what we've got there from Mr. SPR there at home. Few laps to go. Carl looking pretty good, happy out there. 9.5 seconds ahead of Quinn Wilson, who's done a very good job of his first V8 race for us that we've seen. Still got another longer race to go just after this. Derek Lovegrove, Mr. Consistency, he scored himself some great points last season, and he's now getting his mental tap tested by Wayne Van Biljon behind him.
Yes, a good little battle going on here for the final podium place. Wayne keen to climb onto that podium. Derek will be keen to hold on to the podium. And this is just about being a race-long battle. We saw these guys battling before Derek dove to pit lane, and I think between their pit stops was probably the only time they've been separated on track. So good to see them fighting it out. We're going to have to wait to see who comes out on top of this one, but you can see the focus behind the visor on Wayne there, and Derek locks up and runs wide. That's going to be Wayne's opportunity. Derek will pick up a slowdown for that as well.
There we go.
After trudging through the grass, so that's going to give Wayne a nice little gap there now. So, as Wayne has his own little lock up, and I was about to say barring any mistakes, that's going to see Wayne on the podium, but still a few laps left to go, so try and keep it clean. So he's not home and dry yet, but he'll certainly be looking to keep it clean, keep it tidy, and hope that he can bring it to the flag in third position.
Yeah, great drive, great drive. So just going back to Derek Lovegrove there, Mr. Vanderberg listening in at home wasn't too keen on me calling Derek Mr. Cool, and apparently should have had the Iceman tag, not him. But you know what, Pete? I reckon Mr. Cool suits him just fine, because after we see what one of your teammates has just gone and done there, he's not stayed on the track. We love you, Pete. Wondering why you're not here? You probably got your feet up somewhere having a bit of biltong, my friend, a bit of biltong. I'm happy that you're here enjoying watching the racing, but it's always better to see you out there cutting the laps there, bud. So let us know what you're up to, and we'll try not to make too much more fun of you.
We won't try very hard, though.
No guarantees. Grant Bristow, another man who's pretty good at making some biltong. The Devil's Cup Barbecue team there, up 7 grid spots into P5. Great drive.
Yes, quite a few big green numbers there. We've got Andrew Johnson, probably the biggest of them, up 9 spots.
That's a good place for him to be, considering he was caught up a little bit with that opening lap drama. Just got slowed up a wee bit there, and now to be looking at starting the second race from P12, he's got nothing much more to lose, really. Sun combination just ahead of him, Daniel Johnson, sitting there in 11th, and welcome back Rob Higgins, and might I say, mighty fine looking livery on that car there, bud. Wait for it to come around the corner and you can see it in all its glory. There it is, Monster Nitro Circus, all tagged up with rainbow, fantastic colouring combination down the side of that car.
Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Tickford Racing need to take some lessons from Rob Higgins on how to do a monster livery, because that looks absolutely beautiful with the the Cam Waters one's just a little bit plain, really, just a monster logo on a black car, basically.
Yep, no, I hear you, So I just caught the end of Ross Watson putting a bit of pressure onto Chris Zuppich there, as we are closing in on our last lap very shortly. Other battles happening in the pack is Leith Swinney, who is, after having a bad pit stop time there earlier, is now hunting down Steve Darren, our race week sponsor. Steve doing a pretty good job of keeping it a bit cleaner during the race. Just up one grid spot for him. There's a name that was further up the field earlier, and he'll be kicking himself now, down 13 spots into P15. Don't let the last lap red mist come upon you too soon and make any further mistakes there, Trento, as he's now got a very big blockade in the way of Bill Kilger there in front of him.
Yes, and never easy to find a way past Bill, and sitting there in 14th at the moment. Trent will be wanting to find a way past, but Bill's never going to make it easy, and you can see there Trent able to get close, but no gaps opening up.
No, that's
Bill doing a good job of just running the line. He's good under brakes as well, which makes it hard to try and outbrake him, and just hits his marks consistently enough that you just can't find a way past.
That's looking for a run down here now. You'd be looking to make a late dive for the inside. Still just not quite close enough. Bill inside the draft there of Marty Mitchell in front of him, and Marty's had...
Carl Nedler coming to the line now.
Cool, well done, Carl. That's great. P1 for you, up 5. Quinn Wilson, awesome introduction for you into here, finishing P2 after qualifying P1. That's not a bad result. And then Wayne Biljon there rounding out P3. We'll go back and just have a quick squiz of this pack at the back. Trento not doing quite enough to be able to get any further forward on that one. Derek Lovegrove coming across the line in 4th. Mark Price, what an awesome finishing result for him. He'll be ecstatic with that, up 8 into P5. Grant Bristow up 6 to P6. Luke Bradley, bit of a loss out there for him, down 3, but great recovery drive from him after being caught out in that unfortunate opening lap incident there. Chris Zuppich, well done, up 3 into P8 in the all gold Holden Commodore, and it's all gold because they always get the gold. Ross Watson took out P9, and Daniel Johnson rounding out our P10. Couple of cars still just coming across the line now. Great to see Brendan sticking it out till the end of the race there, finishing up 6 grid spots into P17. So it's not all over, as we would say. Stick around till the end and the fat lady may sing in your favour.
Cal Nedler throwing down some great celebrations now.
Yeah, someone needs to make sure to let him know to save some tyre for the second race coming up, as we have a 5-minute warm-up for the guys. We'll see who's trying to get out there to improve, going through some heavy gas into the car, get ready to do some race starts. We'll see who's going to be the first to get out there. What do we got there on the chat tonight? Derek, no, not Derek, Peter's stuck in Auckland, and he is sad to be missing out on such good racing, but apparently he should be good for the rest of the season. And he's wished a awesome big thumbs up, well done to Roscoe. He's doing better each week, so great to see the shout outs going through to the guys while they're counting their laps. What else we got coming up, Shane? That's worth mentioning for the peoples at home.
Well, there's the Spa 24-hour coming up in a few weeks' time. Yeah, GT3 race, obviously around Spa, big 24-hour race there. The real version went down on the weekend with
Yep.
Chas Modster and the Sun Energy One team winning the Pro-Am category there, so that
Yeah,
was
wicked.
cool to see. Just coming back to your comments about Carl's tyres there, I think he should be alright. Unlike you and me in the GT3s, Doug, he doesn't have DSA on the side of the car, so I think it's going to fall another set or two.
Fair enough. Yeah, I suppose they spend the big money onto the tyres in this group, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, other than that, we have not so officially, but we will be having shortly. We're getting some key rings, cups, and stubby coolers as part of our merch range. So if you're interested in any of the Supercars NZ merch, feel free to flick us a message. We'll get you the details on what merch we currently have, flick you through the price listing, and yeah, you can get yourself into some of our cool gears and putting our name out there for us.
Yeah, it's always great quality merchandise. Not sure if there's going to be another run of hoodies in the foreseeable future, but certainly the hoodie that I'm wearing right now is super comfortable, super warm, and it's actually my
Yep.
favourite hoodie, so I
Yep,
wear it a lot.
mine too. I'm day in, day out of that thing, and it just, yep, I don't think I've ever come across such a well-wearing item of clothing. I'm currently wearing one of the Supercars NZ t-shirts at the moment here at the desk, and I can say it's doing a nice job of keeping me cool and fresh and on the money for you guys at home. Quinn Wilson out there looking like he might be doing some clutch drops, trying to work out what he might have done a little bit wrong in the opening race there, and see if he can get a better away for the feature race coming up shortly. A couple more minutes, and we'll see those guys having the green light for their 20 lap race.
Yes, Quinn obviously not happy with how we got away from the light. We saw him slow off in that first race, and I mentioned he's used to the GT3s and the rolling starts, and these are a lot more of a handful anyway than the GT3s. So taking a bit of time to learn how to get it away from a standing start. You can see there a bit of
Yeah.
wheel spin going. Probably bogged it down a little bit on that last one after the initial wheel spin. So he's just trying to find the right balance there, and that's what it all comes down to, is just finding the right mix of your throttle percentage, your clutch release if you're using the traditional find the bite point and release it off the brake, or
Yep.
you might be doing the auto blip trick where you can hold it on the brake if you've got auto blip turned on and use the throttle and then just release the brake and modulate the throttle down, but he's still got to find the right amount of throttle to launch with if he's using that style of start.
Yep. The thing that I find that I try not to do if I'm doing practicing standing starts is carry on doing them around the track. I'll practice them in pit lane, not far away from my pit bay, on the black stuff rather than the concrete, and do one or two, and then jump back, refresh from the pits, and then do them again. Because I feel every time you go and light the tyres up, you make them a bit more sticky and then a little bit more overheated, and you can't get a good feel for just exactly how much you're doing good versus bad when you're trying to work out that bite point. But
Yeah,
that's
that's a very good point because obviously when you're launching these cars off the line in iRacing, no formation lap, so you got to do it with stone cold tyres, and obviously these cars in real life are tricky enough with warm tyres. Try and do it on cold tyres, and it's even harder.
Certainly is. So we should be about 5 seconds away from lights coming up for the boys. And they'll get the countdown, and when the lights go out for them, we'll be racing.
Green, green, green.
So they're off now, and
Ooh.
Quinn. So Carl got away with a lot of wheel spin and has dropped back.
Big
SuperCars going
drama
hard
at
into the
back.
wall in the background.
Oh,
Wayman Biljon
and
takes over the
more.
lead. Quinn Wilson managing to
Cross-up
hold on to
defence.
second.
Everyone
The
playing for
3
keeps
wide
here.
going on.
Damn. But yeah, Wayne Van Biljon there making the great first jump away over Quinn Wilson, who didn't actually get too bad of a start this time round.
Yeah, he was still a little bit slow away, but with Carl even slower away, he was able to gain one and lose one and come out where he started, basically. Oh, it was one of the Festive Foods cars with a lock up and running wide.
Yep, Ross Watson there. Further down the order, there's Luke Bradley, Justin Allen with big damage, Mike Limbrick also suffering, Scott Cole, and Chris ended up having to tow to the pits on that opening lap there. So hopefully he just gets his pit stop done and dusted while he's there and just comes out and tries to circulate some nice tidy laps. That'll be a hard challenge to try and move forward from there, but finishing points is finishing points.
Yeah, that's right. You got to cross the line at the end and complete, I believe, 90% race distance to be eligible for points. So always worth sticking it out and picking up something.
Certainly is. So Carl Nedler there really putting the pressure on early onto the back of Quinn Wilson, but Quinn very clear, level-headed racer and just showing some great early performance here in his what for us is a V8 debut. Just back from those guys in P4 and 5, Mark Price and Derek Lovegrove.
So some unfortunate news. It looks like Jerez had tried to rejoin for the second race after disconnecting from the first race and going away and clearing his head a little bit. Tried to rejoin for the second race, but unfortunately suffered from packet loss and has not been able to reconnect to the server.
Oh, there, that is a shame. Sorry to hear that, that Jerez. As Bill Kilger's coming out charging and has even been looking at filling up the mirrors of Rob Higgins, who is just in front of him. Might be able to get a good view there. See, Bill got some very...
Oh!
Oh, I don't know if there was race room left there.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, it was alongside all the way down the straight, wasn't it? It was
Yep.
good hard racing, and then the contact was made.
Might be some words shared over that one. So Rob, I don't know if he's trying to readdress that or not, but he's bled a few spots, and that's allowed quite a congested field to now close in around these guys. Trent Bennett making a move with Grant Bristow there. Swinney also really close and looking like he's not quite making a move, but certainly filling the mirrors.
Yeah, so Leith trying to find a way past here. Grant soon in front in the Devil's Cut car there. Jumping back to have a look at...
So yeah, so Chris is up there after having his 3 minutes and 3 seconds there in pit lane, so that's certainly won't be helping his cause. But yeah, charge on, Chris. Got to get those finishing points, mate, and still a long race ahead.
Three very similarly coloured cars at the front there in a
Yes.
tight battle. Wayman Biljong leading as
Ooh,
Quinn
Quinn.
took a bucket load of curb there, got unsettled but held onto it, and he's taken a fair bit of pressure from Carl Nedler behind.
Certainly did, and that was probably photo opportunistic. The way that he mounted that curb there, that'd be a good one for someone to have a look back on a replay later and work out how many sandbags he could fit underneath that car, as he was well up on it, two wheels. There's Grant Bristow, Lee Swinney drag racing it down the front straight. Grant moving out wide. Leith coming in and under. Has Grant got enough to hang on to it, moving around the outside there. Staying there, push that pressure on. He's fallen back and behind there now. That is always hard to work out which of the Johnsons it is, because obviously this one was running the Commodore last season and now running the Mustang. No, Andrew, I wouldn't say anything bad about your son driving the Mustang, just you. I mean, that great Mustang that you drive, Andrew. That's a great choice. Daniel, however, very disappointed. Once the drugs have worn off from Mum's Apples Pie, hopefully you realise the error of your ways and go back to driving the Commodore next season. Because I just don't see why anyone in their right mind would ask their dad to drive a Ford.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, but he's made that choice. Apparently willfully. We'll have to wait and see on that, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, Luke Bradley having some good hard racing there with Scott McKenzie, who has now been rounded up by his teammate Ross Watson as well. That was a great bit of side-by-side battle, and it's put a little bit of an indentation on to the rear of his car. He seems to have a good handle on it.
Yeah, he sure does. It was a very forceful move, but he got well and truly up the inside. Did have a bit of understeer on the exit, and that's where the contact came in, but I think he had done enough to have rights to the corner there.
Certainly did. This is a very, like you said, a very interesting battle pack forming up here at the front, and there's not more than 0.03 of a second between each of those cars, and they are cutting some very quick lap times. Quinn Wilson there in the middle of the VSK sandwich, as Peter Vanderberg at home has affectionately renamed Wayne Van Biljon to Wayne Van Giz Biljon. I'm guessing it's a South African joke.
I think Peter's just trying to deflect from his own nickname there. He was earlier on tonight referred to as Wayne Van Gisbergen. As Peter Van Gisbergen.
Peter Van Gisbergen, yep. We could call him Wayne as well if you like.
Too many vans.
These guys are having a great battle. The only thing I can forecast going wrong is all three of them coming together, and Derek Lovegrove then capitalising, coming in for the charge. So Derek Lovegrove currently 5 seconds behind this group, as these guys are tearing shreds out of this track. Wayne really starting to battle with the pressure getting put on behind him, having multiple wheel locks going around the circuit. Quinn will be the one to make a very decisive move when he feels that it's needed. And you can see where his eyes are focused, because he's not worried whatsoever about Carl behind him at the moment, sitting in totally different racing lines to these two as they go around the track.
Yeah, and it is interesting to see the different racing lines. You can see Wayne taking a slightly later turn and looking to get the car
Oh,
straightened up at the exit as Quinn loops it, finds the concrete wall on the exit as well. Able to rejoin nice and cleanly, so that'll be frustrating. I was just about to comment on Quinn's line being a slightly tighter turn in and rotating the car through the middle of the corner and then powering off it. While it was quite different to what Wayne was running, it had been working for him up until that point where he just lost the rear end on exit, maybe trying to ask a bit too much of it, turning the car through the mid corner while trying to get the power down nice and early as well.
yeah. Oh, that's hard because now Quinn will be suffering a wee bit after doing his flick spin there. Those tyres would have warmed up and he'll be feeling that imbalance of the car now. And Trent Bennett sitting in behind him will know that that's something that's happening. Oh
Really looking
no!
for Trent, looking for the move down the inside. It was going to be a tight move, and he, I think, maybe had a half look at going for a
Yep.
dive and realised it wasn't going to come off. Got on the brakes a little bit harder and just locked the rears.
Well, I think what he was actually trying to do was trying to reposition the car around to the outside to see if he could have got a better corner exit. And the imbalance of the car as he moved it back across to the right caused that wheel lock on the what's essentially would have been the inside right, the left rear tyre, which then caused it to carry on moving across to the right under braking. So yeah, just unlucky. I've got to stop saying drivers' names because that was about the third person in a row that I've said their name and they've gone and had a drama. Who else do I not like? Mike Limbrick. No, you're fine. Grant Bristow. No, he's fine. Shane White.
I'll probably somehow manage to crash.
I'll probably not stay on you for too long. You'll probably crash your iRacing.
Yeah, probably.
That was unlucky. I'm going to just have a quick look back because it did come up with crash data for Trent's one there. So you just have a click to see if you can, whether or not you agree with what took place there.
Yeah, he was just starting to move back over to the right, wasn't he? And then just pinched those brakes, and
Yep.
that steered him even further to the right than where he wanted to go. So
Certainly did. And here, see, cars can go side by side through there. Biggest winner out of that, I think, was actually Luke Bradley. I think he managed to get past nearly 4 cars in a space of 2 corners as he's looking up the inside there of Steve Darren. So he's on a big charge. Hasn't stopped yet. A few cars towards the back have. But yeah, that's Luke Bradley putting the pressure on our race week sponsor Steve Darren, who's currently up 13 spots into P9. So that is certainly looking good there for those guys. And before anything dramatic happens, I'm going to click off them. And we've got teammates, VSK teammates, Wayne Van Biljon and Carl Nedler there, P1 and 2.
well, I wasn't going to comment on the fact that VSK had a 1-2 going, but you brought it up, so it's your fault now if it all goes wrong.
Quinn Wilson. No, he's fine.
Well, Quinn's already had his bad luck from the commentator's curse.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. Simon Wallace?
Haven't seen much of Simon tonight, have we?
Not too much. Oh, okay, well he's already had drama. I must have just called it late. He's missing a bonnet there. So Justin Allen now. Justin hasn't stopped, but something's attacked his front bumper.
Yeah, so missing the front splitter off that car and front bumper assembly, so
Might have been
a little bit
this
second hand.
right from the very start of the race.
Oh yeah, he got caught up in that. So
I'm actually surprised he's still charging on with that. That was a
as am I. That was a
massive
pretty big impact.
crash. Not because I'm weird or sadistic or anything, but that was monstrous. Let's have a look at that again.
He's been absolutely body slammed into the pit wall there.
Yeah,
Straight front on impact into the pit wall. I am very surprised that he hasn't had enough radiator damage to blow that engine up by now.
it's certainly hurting, and you'd really hope that as we're now on lap 9 of 20, pretty much as close to the halfway mark as you want to get. Come in. Just come into the
Yeah,
pits.
100%.
It's got to be better. Well, I don't know. It's a Mustang. Maybe it's driving pretty well after having that frontal damage.
Yeah, might have made it a bit better.
A bit more balanced.
Yeah.
Not as heavy. Hasn't caught fire yet. We'll keep an eye on it though.
Not yet. He's just lost another spot there. As Scott McKenzie goes around him, and he's got Daniel Johnson.
Yep.
Just going around the outside of him now as well. So
He's he's being very gracious to the guys. Very gracious indeed by letting them do that. Scott Cole, what happened there, Scott Cole? That's nearly 3 minutes in the pit lane. Will you carry on now that you get similar to what Mr. Zuppich had earlier? 303 coming up now. 304, 305. Simon Willis there in the pits.
just looking at that flag from Scott Cole, has he done a reverse SVG there?
Yeah. Oh, I can hear someone in the background losing tyre traction. Trent Bennett. Oh, that's tight.
Oh,
It's not Trento's night tonight.
it's not, is it?
Marty Mitchell and Trent Bennett coming together there. Have a look at Marty's angle.
Oh, Marty just locked up and running wide, so...
Yep. Up at the front still, Mr. Beljon over Mr. Nedler there. Derek still hovering 5 seconds behind this pack. Quinn Wilson still stalking. I'm actually surprised he hasn't come in to grab some tyres to see if he can close down that gap between those others, but I suppose the only one that he's really going to be trying to contend with now moving forward will be trying to close the gap, that 4-second gap to Derek. Mark Price started 5th, still 5th, but he has got Leith Swinney, who's on a monstrous charge. Up 10 grid spots into 6. Leith gets the back of his Mustang sitting down hard into that tyre. Like you said earlier, a very undulating track, and a lot of these corners off cambered as well, so you come up over a ridge and you want to get into the gas, and then the track falls away to the side, and then you come through other corners and it's sort of the vice versa. It becomes on cambered, but you get onto the gas too soon and it flicks you in towards the centre of the track, and then you lift, and that can cause the understeer floating out wide away from it. So a very technical track, and I imagine what you could do for us is give us a bit of a run around the track.
Yeah, I suppose I can probably manage that. as we're coming in towards the end of the lap now, and Lee's going to come to pit lane.
I will not have it stolen from me. On board with Pricey.
Coming down the front straight, starting the lap under the UFO, and on the brakes down into turn 1, Expo 92 corner. Patient on the throttle on the way out. Back down to second gear for Michelin corner, tight little right hand hairpin, and then straight into the left hander at 3, so you want to not be too greedy on the exit of 2 and tighten your line into 3. Running a little bit wide through 4, just missed the apex, that caused him to delay his throttle application a little bit. Back down to third gear for the long right hander at turn 5, Tito Pons corner. And then out onto the straight, getting a good exit off that sweeper is crucial to get the pace down the straight here. On the brakes, back down to second gear for the tight turn 6 hairpin at dry sack. Back across the right to set up for turn 7, third gear left-hander, short shifting to 4th at the apex to get the traction. Back to 3rd for the long turn 8 sweeper at Aspar. And then it tightens up, almost street circuit style corners, 90-degree right-hander at turn 9, Angelnito, and 10 at Paluqui. And then on the brakes for the 11, 12 and 13, Eden Centre chicane. Short shifting on the exit, turn 14 Ferrari, the right-hand kink, short shift to 4th. Braking a bit early and getting back onto the throttle and into the final corner at Lorenzo and on the power and off down the straight again.
There we go. And pretty tidy lap there from Mr. Price, and still doing pretty good consistent lap times as we are now lap 13 of 20. And not too many left. Only 4 cars there on the data screen left to take their pit stops, and that is our current race leader and the man behind him in second, and Quinn Wilson, who has moved up 1 spot, but that is probably only really due to Derek having gone into the pits there. I apologize. Ross Watson also, along with Mark Price, just still to stop. There's Ross there.
Yes, so quite surprised to see Wayne and Carl both going quite long into the race. Obviously fairly commanding out front for these two guys, but I'm surprised at least Carl hasn't tried to get in early to trigger the undercut as Wayne dives to the pits and Carl's going to follow him. So, while teammates, I wonder if they've been instructed to preserve the 1-2, not try and do any kind of silly strategy, just match each other. And as Quinn had the res locked a little bit through the pit entry, but was able to pull it up. We'll see if anybody has to sit for a bit longer in their pit box.
We're looking for the car third in line to drop first, which he has done. Teammate should drop now. So having to take on a little bit more fuel than his teammate there. Quite a touch actually, just over 2 seconds worth of extra fuel for Carl. So Wayne's stop was 11.6 versus his teammate of 13.9. But look what that's done. The pit stop there. So Derek was 4.5 seconds behind these guys before they've come into the pits. So Derek's actually now in second spot, and he's divided those two.
Yeah, and just the difference of 2 laps between their pit laps, although a second between Derek and Wayne on pit stop times, and 3.5 seconds faster Derek was than Carl, so almost all of that gap has been made on the extra pit stop time, and the extra half a second, just by virtue of being on fresher rubber, he's been able to just jump out ahead of him.
Great to see that SuperCars NZ logo sitting up underneath the rear spoiler there on the Misfits car. A shout out to you guys, thanks very, very much for that. We love the support, and we love having you guys here, and you guys have presented a awesome team.
Wade's just come back to the pit lane. He must have got a speeding penalty on the exit.
We'll see if he does a drive-through. So that now puts Derek Lovegrove into the charge for P1.
So I believe even on exit the speeding penalty will be a stop and hold, so it's a more severe penalty on exit because you do still have to come back to the box. So just a brief hold.
Wow.
But he is away.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. So yeah, Quinn Wilson managing to well and truly round out past him as well. Wayne now coming back onto the track, P4, just ahead of Mark Price, who has Luke Bradley sitting in behind him, who was fast charging there before. But up here at the front, where the battle is tight, only 0.02 of a second between it, Carl doing his best to absolutely fill the mirrors of Derek Lovegrove, lap 15 of 20. So looking at it from the front of Carl's car, right there in the middle of that grille, that's where we go and put the biggest cameras on the Mustang, try and choke those, choke the cooling for their radiators. That line for Derek is that's been quite consistent for him all night. It's like it's sort of a late break, roll off, and then wait for the natural traction to bite in on the outside of the corner on the curb, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking like it might be a bit of a deliberate line. It opens the gap a little bit, but might help him get that drive off the corner, as you say. As Carl has a look down the inside of the final corner, not quite able to get it all the way up there, and Derek did a good job to show why sometimes in that situation it's better to just give him just enough room and get the drive off the corner. Defending the inside line down into turn one, and despite taking the title line in, he was still able to get a better exit and open up a little gap there, but running wide at 2, that's going to allow Carl to just close the gap a little bit. Better line through 3 for Carl as well. He's got to find somewhere to go with that momentum. He's having half a look, but not able to fire it down the inside. Derek leaves a little bit of gap though, wasn't quite sure where Carl was and didn't want to turn in and cause contact there.
But a nice side drafting there.
Now. Carl just getting halfway down the inside, gets the inside line, gets the lead on the exit. Can Derek fight him back? He's able to get the drive off the corner as well and open up a few car lengths gap now, so he was just able to get that car in the right position to take advantage there and take over the lead.
There we go. Yes, I think Derek just running out of what he was able to put into his car. He definitely looked like he was suffering with some understeer issue there, and obviously coming in a couple of laps earlier for his pit stop and possibly just pushing those tyres early on, the initial grip, did enough to get him back into the thick of things. But just not quite enough to be able to hang on with the remaining laps to go, as Carl just goes and gives his Mustang a wee wiggle coming out of the corner there. What else we got happening down here? Simon Willis in close proximity to Steve Darren. Thank you again, Steve Darren, for our Race Week sponsorship there, mate. Much appreciate it.
And Steve Darren is just 1 point away from a drive-through penalty, so he won't be wanting to take a knock from Simon Willis behind him there.
Yeah, great bit of info there, Shane, and you can see that he's certainly doing his best to stay within the track parameters there. Obviously, off-track would cause that lovely Lovely black flag to show up as well for a drive-through. Be interesting
Yeah,
to
and
see.
Mike Limbrick has just had to serve a drive-through in the last couple of laps. He reached that 15-point limit, and we've got Luke Bradley also right on the bubble on 14 there. And Ross Watson not far off on 13 points at the moment. So if you guys having to be a little bit careful on those incident points,
Yep.
could see a few drive-throughs coming up late in the race if those guys have a few too many slip-ups.
Yeah, 3 laps to go, and I mean, hey, all it can do is take one corner, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. With two guys already on 14, it just takes one little mistake, run a little bit wide, pick up that 1x off track, and that's it. You're going to have to come in for a tour of pit lane.
Yes, Mr. McNamara has tightened up the penalty system a wee bit this year. There's not too much in difference now between the V8s and the GT3s. So the V8s are now running a 15-point limit before drive-through. No cap on that as such as yet before reaching a disqualification. So in lots of 15s you will get a drive-through pit lane for your troubles. But both GT3s and V8s running a limit on fast repairs this season of only 2 of those, so the guys having to be a bit more cautious with their decision making tactics, and especially in like a long race like this, you see the guys, a few of them having to, take that first fast repair early on. It's not to say that another one happening not too soon after coming out of the pit lane, trying to get back into the heat of the battle, and that's it. You're all dried up, and it's you. Then another 18 laps of trying to make sure that you don't do anything wrong to your car, or stick it into a wall, and have to sit in there for the required repair time, which, as we know from our other racing, could be anything from 8 minutes through to 30 minutes, and you can kiss a race goodbye.
Yeah, that's right. It's bad enough getting a 30-minute repair in a 24-hour race. When you got a 30-minute repair in a 15-minute race, that
Yes.
you're missing basically two-thirds. Well, you're missing two-thirds of the race there. So
That's it.
when you're having to complete 90% race
Yep.
distance to be classified, at that point you might as well just walk away.
Yeah. Yep. Go and hang the helmet up for the night and head along to allports.nz and contemplate poor life decisions as you look through their Sparko gaming products. And then while you're in there having a look at that, you've taken the wife's credit card, go and put SCNZ in the code at the checkout and get 15% off your purchase price.
Yeah, that's right. Save the GST.
Do you like? I've rolled into that twice tonight.
You have. You've done very well to promote that nice little deal that All Ports have got going for us.
Cool bit of battling here between a couple of our old boys, the OGs, Mr. Bill Kilger and Steve Darren. You can guarantee that those two will be having fun chasing each other around the track. I'd be quite keen to see these two jump in and do some commentary one night on one of the series, whether it be the GT3s, the TCRs, or even on a Piston Cup night. I reckon those guys, I'm not saying that they have to run the stream, but just to hear those two in the commentary booth and hear some of the stories that they could tell and some of the funny yarns that they could put out about some of the other drivers that they race with would be quite an eye-opener for the people at home.
I think that would be a lot of fun. So come on, Bill and Steve. Get into it. Steve, you're sponsoring the racing this week. Get into it on Piston Cup this weekend and have some fun.
Sounds like a great thing to do. Might even run the stream myself if they're keen to go and jump upstairs.
White flag for Carl Nedler out in front. Derek
Yep.
Lovegrove not too far behind, just hanging on there.
No, certainly not. And I think as Carl's been coming across some lap traffic from time to time, it certainly closed that margin. I saw Derek was down to within half a second there before. Quinn Wilson doing a great job hanging on to P3 currently. And there was the story that could have been written, sitting there in fourth spot. So not too bad of a recovery, but yeah, just unlucky there, Wayne. But nonetheless, should be a good finishing result for you. So as we see there again, Carl's time just dropping down into within that half a second margin with Derek. Only a few more corners to go, and quite a tricky section of corners they will be there as well. So as they make easy work going through Scott's corner there, or Scott or Doug's corner, whichever one you want to call it, but they don't do too badly with it. The GT3's absolutely died.
Yeah, so Kyle, just trying to stay in a nice little rhythm here. A couple of corners to go.
There we go.
Coming
Put it on an
down
absolute
into
blinder.
Lorenzo now. And Carl doing well to keep the car on the track, keep clear enough of Derek to come across the line and take the win. Well done, Carl.
Yeah, mighty fine drive there from the VSK Sim Sports. Carl Nedler, car 66, taking out P1, started P1 for this race. So that's back-to-back wins for him for the heat and feature race. Derek not with us anymore. He jumped out of there pretty quick. No celebration donuts for him, but good to be happy with his result. Up 2 from where he started to finish second. Quinn Wilson only dropping 1 spot to finish in P3. Wayne Van Biljon there, down 1 from third. Could have been yours, mate. Could have been yours. Unlucky. Get amongst it again next week for the VSK SimSport boys and show them how you guys can pair up and have some awesome battles again. Welcome Luke Bradley, car 49, up 2 to finish in 5th there. So that's a name to look out for moving forward throughout the series. Mark Price, welcome back. Pricey, 0 podium, 0 wins, 7 incidents per lap. Well, I think you've done a bit better than that now, mate. It might be down to 0.5 incidents per lap.
Well, he actually had 1 incident for the whole race, so
Well, that's
a 20th of an incident per lap. That's
yep.
you might still be on the 0 podiums and 0 wins, but you're bringing that incidents per lap down significantly.
And look what's happening to the finishing results, coming up that leaderboard nicely. Lee Swinney, VSK P8, up 8 to get there. So that was a great drive by Leith. Daniel Johnson rounding out 9, and Scott McKenzie wasn't quite your night, but up 8 spots to finish in 10. You'd be happy with that. There's the VSK boys getting together to get a bit of a photo opportunity as they roll in towards the end. Nice stuff. They're certainly not waiting for Leith though. And Chris Zapich there looking for his wallet in the sand trap. I think it's just a bit further back towards the orange tyres, Chris. Just have a look behind you. Unlucky one for Chris tonight. Good on him for sticking it out through till the end though. And Scott Cole. Points for him will be longest time sitting in pit lane, 22 minutes and 41 seconds.
Well, obviously hopeful that the crew were going to get the car fixed up in time for at least a lap at the end, but not able to do that.
No, that's right. So there we go, Shane. That was round 2 of our V8s at Jerez. We've got TCRs on tomorrow night, and we're still very much putting the word out there for anyone wanting to jump on board with the broadcasting team to broadcast some of the TCR races. I think between ourselves or Wayne, we'll be able to help looking at getting someone set up to be able to run the streams from home. It looks like we've got one person interested, and we just need one more person to possibly look at jumping on board as another commentator. So even if it's just something that you I don't know, want to dip your toes in and see what it's like, come along and you can jump on board with us for a night, see what you think of it, and before committing to something else. We always enjoy having extra people up here in the broadcasting lounge. It saves us either taking the mickey out of each other or those other two clowns that run that Thursday night show. Speaking of Thursday night, where are we off to for the GT3s?
I should have been preparing for this while you were talking, because I should have known you were going to drop me in the deep
Week
end. But I
after
think hopefully...
week after week.
So what have we got? GT3s this week at Daytona on the road course. And that's actually the same track that the TCRs will be racing at. So
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. So yeah, Daytona road course. It's a fun wee circuit. Might even come along and try and circulate some laps now that I've finally got over my 8-day long cold. Joining the guys up in the broadcasting lounge last week was a good bit of fun, but I do miss turning wheels. Hopefully you'll be there as well, Shane, because we noticed that you went out there to rep DSA also.
yeah, I unfortunately wasn't able to quite make the race last week. I am planning on being able to make it this week, but we'll see what happens.
Yep, that's all we can hope for. And yeah, then Piston Cup on Friday and Saturday night. So if you're at home and you're looking at getting into sim racing, flick us a message at SuperCars NZ. We're still more than happy to take people on for our non-competition rounds. And yeah, we can point you in the right direction of what you might need to do and how to get amongst it. Big thank you to All Ports Motorsport for jumping on board as our main season sponsor. And thank you to SDI for our Race Week sponsorship. Steve wouldn't be here without you, a long time supporter of the league. So really cool stuff. And Mark Price, I see your comment just popped up there on the chat. Woohoo, top 10. Yep, and you should be mightily proud with yourself there, Pricey, because you were very, very close to being inside the top 5, and we're desperate to see you do have some more great finishing results than that. So thank you again, Shano, for joining me up here in the broadcasting lounge, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you out there on track on Thursday night.
Yeah, cheers for having me, Doug.
Everyone at home, thank you very much for joining us again this evening, and we'll see you later.